The Power Within. How to Cultivate Confidence and Achieve Anything. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. Have you ever looked at someone who seems effortlessly confident and thought, I wish I had that? Maybe you've convinced yourself that confidence is something you either have or you don't, that it's a natural gift some people are born with, while others are destined to struggle with self-doubt forever. But what if I told you that's not true? Confidence isn't an accident of birth. It's not something only extroverts, leaders, or risk-takers possess. Confidence is a skill, one that can be built, strengthened, and mastered by anyone, including you. Right now, you might believe that confidence comes after success, after you get the promotion, after you achieve your goals, after people finally start recognizing your worth. But the truth is, confidence doesn't come from success. Success comes from confidence. It comes from trusting yourself, stepping up, and taking action, even when you're scared. Think about it. Every person you admire, every leader, entrepreneur, or artist who seems unshakably confident had to start somewhere. At some point, they doubted themselves too. The difference? They didn't wait to feel confident. They acted confident first, and the feeling followed. That's what this book is going to teach you. In these pages, you'll learn how to rewire self-doubt, break free from fear, and train yourself to think, move, and act with confidence, even when you don't feel ready. You'll discover practical strategies to shift your mindset, take control of your body language, and build self-trust so strong that nothing can shake it. By the time you finish this book, you won't just know what confidence is, you'll be living it. Are you ready? Let's go. Chapter 1. Confidence is an inside job. You know that moment when you hesitate before speaking up, when self-doubt creeps in and convinces you to stay quiet? We've all been there. It's easy to think confidence is something you're either born with or without, like an exclusive club only certain people get access to. But here's the truth. Confidence isn't something you have, it's something you build. Think about a time when you really wanted to do something, maybe apply for a promotion, introduce yourself to someone important, or finally start that passion project, but you held back. You told yourself, I'll do it when I feel ready. But that moment never seemed to come, did it? That's because confidence doesn't show up first, it follows action. Let me tell you about Sarah. She used to believe that confidence was something other people naturally had. Those effortlessly charismatic, fearless individuals who seemed to glide through life without a second thought. She wasn't one of them. In high school, she avoided attention, rarely raised her hand, and envied people who could speak without overthinking every word. She assumed they had something she didn't. Then, in college, she met a professor who changed everything. One day after class, she admitted how much she wished she could be more confident. He smiled and said, "Confidence is a muscle. You don't wait for it, you train it." Then he challenged her to take one small step outside her comfort zone every day, ask a question in class, introduce herself to someone new, speak up in a group. At first it felt awkward, even scary. But little by little, something shifted. She wasn't magically transformed overnight, but the more she acted confidently, the more natural it became, and before she even realized it, she had become confident. Here's the thing. We tend to believe confidence comes from success, like we need to achieve something first before we can feel self-assured. But it's actually the other way around. Confidence creates success. It's what pushes you to take risks, try new things, and go after what you want. And the more you act, the more confident you become. So let's clear up a major misconception. You don't need to feel confident before you take action. That's where many people get stuck. They wait until they feel ready, but that moment never arrives. The secret? Act first, and confidence will follow. Think of a toddler learning to walk. They don't analyze their steps, worry about failing, or wait until they feel like a walker. They just try. They stumble, they fall, they get up, and they try again. And that's exactly how confidence is built, not by waiting, but by doing. Now let's bring this back to you. What's one thing you've been putting off because you don't feel confident enough? Speaking up in a meeting, introducing yourself to someone new, sharing your work with the world. Whatever it is, you don't need permission. You don't need to wait until you feel completely ready. You just need to take one small step forward. Because confidence isn't something you're given, it's something you earn, and it starts the moment you decide to stop waiting and start doing. Chapter 2. Rewiring your mind for self-belief. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'm just not a confident person. Maybe you've told yourself that confidence is for other people, people who are naturally outgoing, fearless, or lucky. But what if that belief is what's actually holding you back? What if confidence isn't about who you are, but about how you think? Right now, your brain is wired a certain way. Over the years, every experience, every success, and every failure has shaped the way you see yourself. If you've been criticized in the past, you might assume you're not good enough. If you've failed at something once, you might believe you'll fail again. And if you've been told you're shy, awkward, or not cut out for success, a part of you may have accepted it as truth. But here's the thing, just because you believe something doesn't make it real. Let's talk about James. He grew up hearing that he was the quiet one. His older brother was the outgoing, confident type, while James stayed in the background. Over time, he started believing that was just who he was. Anytime he tried to speak up, self-doubt kicked in. Why would anyone listen to me? What if I sound foolish? The voice in his head was relentless, reinforcing the idea that confidence wasn't meant for him. One day he read about how the brain can change, how our thoughts aren't fixed, but flexible. He learned that self-doubt wasn't a reflection of reality, just a habit of thinking. So he decided to test something. Every time he caught himself thinking, "I'm not confident," he replaced it with, "I'm becoming more confident every day." At first it felt silly, but he kept at it. Then, he started taking small actions, speaking up in conversations, sharing his ideas in meetings, standing a little taller. Slowly, something shifted. He wasn't waiting for confidence anymore, he was creating it. This isn't just a motivational idea. Science backs it up. Your brain has something called neuroplasticity, which means it can literally rewire itself based on how you think and act. Every time you challenge a negative belief, you weaken it. Every time you replace self-doubt with self-belief, you strengthen new neural pathways. Your thoughts create patterns, and those patterns shape your reality. Think about the messages you tell yourself daily. Do you constantly focus on your flaws? Do you replay past failures? If so, you're training your brain to believe in limitations instead of possibilities. But the good news: you can start shifting those patterns today. Here's a simple exercise. The next time self-doubt creeps in, pause. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or holding me back? Then, reframe it. Instead of "I'm not good at this," say, "I'm learning and improving every day." Instead of "people won't take me seriously," try "my voice matters, and I have something valuable to share." At first it might feel unnatural, like wearing new shoes that haven't been broken in yet. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And don't just stop at thoughts, back them up with action. Confidence isn't just about thinking differently, it's about proving to yourself that you can do the things that once scared you. Take small steps, speak up once. Push yourself just a little further than yesterday. Each action reinforces the new belief that you are capable, worthy, and more powerful than you think. So, the next time you hear that old voice in your head whispering doubt, remind yourself that it's just a habit. And like any habit, it can be changed. Confidence isn't about having all the answers, it's about trusting yourself enough to take the first step. Chapter 3. Overcoming fear, even when it feels impossible. You know that tight feeling in your chest when you're about to do something outside your comfort zone? That little voice in your head saying, "What if I fail? What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself?" Fear is powerful, but here's something many people don't realize: it's not the enemy. Fear is actually a sign that you're about to grow. Think about the moments in your life when you were truly proud of yourself. Maybe it was giving a presentation, standing up for yourself, or trying something new. Now think about how you felt before those moments. Chances are, you were nervous, maybe even terrified, but you did it anyway. That's the real secret. Confidence doesn't mean not feeling fear. It means acting despite it. Take Alex, for example. He always admired confident speakers, but hated public speaking. In college, he had to give a presentation, and the thought of standing in front of his classmates made him physically sick. He considered skipping class, making an excuse, anything to avoid the embarrassment of freezing up. But then, a friend gave him a piece of advice that changed everything. Fear is just excitement without breathing. At first, he didn't understand. But then he tried something simple. Before stepping up to speak, he took 3 slow, deep breaths. Instead of thinking, "I'm terrified," he told himself, "I'm excited." His hands still shook, and his voice wavered at first, but he got through it. And when he sat down, something surprising happened. He felt proud. Not because he was perfect, but because he did it anyway. Most of us see fear as a stop sign. But what if, instead, we saw it as a green light? A signal that we're stepping into something meaningful. The truth is, fear and excitement feel almost identical in the body. The only difference is how we interpret them. Your brain's job is to keep you safe. That's why it sends out warning signals anytime you step into the unknown. But most fears aren't life-threatening, they're just uncomfortable. Speaking in public won't kill you. Asking for what you want won't destroy you. Taking a risk won't end you. But avoiding those things? That's what keeps you stuck. Here's something powerful to remember. The more you avoid fear, the stronger it becomes. Every time you back down, you reinforce the idea that the fear was right. But when you face it, even in the smallest way, you start proving to yourself that you can handle it. Start with something small. If speaking up in meetings terrifies you, set a goal to say one sentence next time. If you're afraid of rejection, challenge yourself to ask for something simple, a favor, a discount, an opportunity. Each time you act despite fear, you weaken its grip. And don't expect fear to disappear. Even the most confident people feel it. The difference is, they don't let it stop them. They've learned that courage isn't about eliminating fear, it's about moving forward with it. So what's something you've been avoiding because of fear? What's one small step you can take toward it today? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be something. Because every time you push through fear, you're not just overcoming a challenge, you're becoming the kind of person who doesn't let fear dictate their life. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be brave enough. Chapter 4. The Confidence Action Loop. Have you ever thought, I'll take action once I feel more confident? It seems logical, wait until you feel ready, then go for it. But that's not how confidence works. Confidence isn't what causes action. It's the result of action. The more you do, the more confident you become. The mistake many people make is waiting, when in reality, the only way to feel ready is to start. Think about the first time you tried something new. Maybe it was driving a car, learning a skill, or speaking in front of a group. You probably felt uncertain, maybe even terrified. But over time, with repetition, it got easier. You didn't wake up one day suddenly feeling confident. You built confidence by doing the thing over and over again. That's the confidence action loop. Take action, gain experience, build confidence, take more action. Look at David. He always admired confident people but saw himself as an observer, not a participant. He wanted to be the kind of person who spoke up, took risks, and put himself out there, but every time he had the chance, fear won. Then he made one small shift. Instead of waiting to feel confident, he decided to act as if he already was. He challenged himself to say yes to opportunities, even when he felt unready. The first time, his voice shook. The second time, he stumbled. But by the 10th time, something clicked. He had become the person he once envied. The problem with waiting for confidence is that it never comes on its own. Action is what creates it. Think of it like building muscle. You can't wait until you feel strong to start lifting weights. You start weak, push through discomfort, and over time strength develops. Confidence works the same way. Here's where many people get stuck. They assume they need to take big actions to gain confidence. But the truth is, small actions are what create lasting confidence. If speaking up terrifies you, don't force yourself to give a speech, just start by sharing one thought in a conversation. If meeting new people feels overwhelming, start by making eye contact and smiling. Every small action proves to your brain that you're capable, and those wins add up. Your brain thrives on evidence. Right now, if you struggle with confidence, it's likely because your brain has collected more evidence of hesitation than action. But you can start rewriting that narrative today. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you collect proof that you can do it. Try this. Pick one small thing you've been avoiding. Not something huge, just a micro action that nudges you forward. Do it today. Then, do another tomorrow. The more you repeat this process, the easier it becomes. The people you admire, the ones who seem effortlessly confident, they aren't fearless. They've just built a habit of taking action before they feel ready. You can do the same. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something you create. Chapter 5. The Secret Weapon, Body Language and Physiology. Have you ever noticed how confident people look confident? It's not just in what they say, it's in how they carry themselves. They stand tall, make eye contact, and move with certainty. But here's what most people don't realize: they're not confident because of how they stand. They stand that way because they're confident. And the best part: you can reverse engineer that confidence just by changing how you use your body. Your body and mind are deeply connected. If you slouch, cross your arms, and look down, your brain gets the message: I'm unsure, I'm small, I don't belong here. But if you stand up straight, relax your shoulders, and take up space, your brain gets an entirely different signal: I'm in control, I've got this, I belong. This isn't just psychological, it's biological. Studies show that body language affects your hormones, which influence how you feel in the moment. Take Olivia, for example. She always struggled with confidence at work. During meetings, she'd shrink into her chair, avoid eye contact, and speak so quietly that people often talked over her. She assumed this meant she wasn't meant to be a leader. But then she tried something simple. Before every meeting, she stood up straight, took deep breaths, and sat with an open posture. She didn't change a single word she said, but people started listening. Not because her ideas were suddenly better, but because her presence changed. Your physiology can trick your brain into feeling more confident. One of the simplest tricks is the power pose, standing tall with your chest open and hands on your hips for 2 minutes. Research shows this increases testosterone, the confidence hormone, and decreases cortisol, the stress hormone. Even if you don't feel confident at first, your body starts believing it, and your brain follows. Another simple shift: eye contact. Confident people don't dart their eyes around the room or stare at the floor. They hold steady eye contact, showing they're present and engaged. If this feels uncomfortable, start small. Practice holding eye contact for just a few seconds longer than usual. It will feel unnatural at first, but over time, it will become second nature. Your breath also plays a huge role. When you're nervous, your breathing gets shallow, which tells your brain to panic. Confident people breathe deeply and steadily. The next time you're in a stressful situation, take slow, controlled breaths. This signals to your brain that everything is okay, helping you feel more in control. Movement matters too. When you feel insecure, you might fidget, cross your arms, or make yourself smaller. Confident people do the opposite. They move with purpose. Try walking a little slower, standing still when you speak, and using hand gestures deliberately instead of nervously. Small changes in how you move can make a huge difference in how you feel. Right now, do a quick test. Sit the way you normally do, then shift, straighten your back, relax your shoulders, lift your chin. Feel the difference. It's subtle but powerful. The more you use confident body language, the more natural it becomes, and the more your mind will follow. You don't have to feel confident to act confident. Flip the process, act confident first, and the feeling will follow. Your body has been shaping your confidence all along. Now, it's time to take control and use it to your advantage. Chapter 6. The Power of Self-Integrity: Keeping Promises to Yourself. Think about the last time you made a promise to yourself, maybe to wake up earlier, exercise, or start a project, only to break it. At first it seems like no big deal, but over time something deeper happens. Every time you say you'll do something and don't follow through, you chip away at your own trust. And without self-trust, confidence becomes almost impossible. Confidence isn't just about believing you can do something, it's about believing you will. When you trust yourself to follow through, confidence becomes natural. But if you constantly break promises to yourself, your brain starts keeping score. You hesitate, second-guess yourself, and feel like you're always starting over. The good news? You can rebuild that trust, one small promise at a time. Look at Marcus. He always admired disciplined people, but he struggled to stay consistent. He'd make ambitious plans, stick with them for a few days, then give up. He told himself he just wasn't a motivated person. But one day he realized the issue wasn't motivation, it was self-trust. He had trained himself to expect failure, so he did something different. Instead of setting big, overwhelming goals, he focused on one small daily promise. At first it was as simple as making his bed every morning. It seemed insignificant, but it wasn't about the task, it was about proving to himself that he could follow through. After a few weeks he added another small promise, then another. Slowly he rewired his brain to believe, I do what I say I will do. The key to building self-trust isn't perfection, It's consistency. Start with a promise so small that failing is almost impossible. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water every morning or writing one sentence a day. The goal is to create a pattern of success. Once you prove to yourself that you can be consistent, you can build from there. And here's something powerful: how you talk to yourself after a slip-up matters just as much as keeping the promise itself. Many people beat themselves up when they fail, reinforcing the idea that they always mess up. But confident people don't expect perfection. They acknowledge the mistake, adjust, and move forward. If you miss a day, don't let it turn into a week. Just get back on track. Think of self-trust like a relationship. If a friend constantly broke their promises, you'd stop relying on them. But if they consistently showed up for you, you'd trust them without hesitation. The same is true for your relationship with yourself. Every small promise kept is a deposit in your confidence bank. Right now, choose one promise, something small, something you know you can keep. Do it today. Then do it again tomorrow. Let that be the start of rebuilding unshakable self-trust. Because the moment you prove to yourself that you follow through, confidence becomes inevitable. Chapter 7. The confidence to speak up and be heard. Have you ever held back from saying something because you were afraid of how others might react? Maybe you had a great idea in a meeting but stayed quiet? Or you wanted to voice your opinion but convinced yourself it wasn't important. Speaking up can feel risky, but the truth is, your voice matters, probably more than you realize. The difference between those who are heard and those who aren't isn't intelligence or talent. It's confidence. And confidence in communication is something you can build. Think about a time when you listened to someone who spoke with certainty. Maybe they weren't the smartest person in the room, but they spoke in a way that made people listen. They didn't mumble, apologize for their words, or second-guess themselves. They owned what they were saying. That's the key. If you don't believe your words matter, no one else will either. Take Jessica, for example. She was bright, hardworking, and full of ideas, but in meetings, she stayed silent. She worried about saying the wrong thing or sounding foolish. Then one day, her boss said something that stuck with her. The only people whose opinions never matter are the ones who never share them. That hit her hard. She realized that by staying silent, she was choosing to make herself invisible. She started small. The next meeting, instead of holding back, she made it a goal to say one thing. Her heart pounded, but she forced herself to speak. No one laughed. No one dismissed her. In fact, people listened. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Over time, she spoke up more often, and with each time, it got easier. She realized that confidence in speaking isn't about never feeling nervous, it's about trusting yourself enough to speak anyway. One of the fastest ways to build this confidence is through body language. People who speak with authority don't shrink into their chairs or avoid eye contact. They sit tall, keep their shoulders open, and project their voice. Even if you feel nervous, adjusting your posture and breathing can trick your brain into feeling more in control. Another simple trick? Speak slower. When we're nervous, we tend to rush our words, which makes us sound unsure. Confident speakers pause, emphasize key points, and take their time. Try this: the next time you're about to speak, take a breath first. Give your words space. It makes a bigger impact than you think. If speaking up feels intimidating, start practicing in low-pressure situations. Share your thoughts in small groups. Ask more questions in conversations. The more you get used to hearing your own voice, the more natural it becomes. Right now, think about something you've been wanting to say but haven't. Maybe at work, in a relationship, or even just in daily conversations. Challenge yourself to voice it today. Not perfectly, not fearlessly, just honestly. The more you use your voice, the stronger it becomes. And the stronger it becomes, the more the world will listen. Chapter 8. Social confidence, thriving in any environment. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like you didn't belong? Maybe at a party, a networking event, or even a casual gathering where everyone else seemed to know what they were doing. You stood there, unsure where to start, convinced that everyone could see your awkwardness. But here's the truth: most people aren't as confident as they seem. The difference between those who thrive socially and those who struggle isn't personality, it's skill. And just like any skill, social confidence can be built. Think about the most charismatic person you know. Chances are, They aren't the loudest in the room or the one telling the best stories. What makes them stand out is something much simpler: they make others feel good. Social confidence isn't about impressing people, it's about connection. When you shift your focus from how do I look to how can I make others feel comfortable, everything changes. Look at Daniel. He used to dread social situations. He overanalyzed every interaction, replaying conversations in his head and worrying about how he came across. Then, he decided to experiment with one small shift. He stopped trying to be interesting and started being interested. Instead of worrying about what to say next, he focused on listening. He asked simple but thoughtful questions and let people talk. To his surprise, conversations became effortless. People started opening up, and he felt more at ease. The more he did this, the more confident he became. One of the best-kept secrets of social confidence is that most people love to talk about themselves. If you're ever stuck in an awkward silence, ask a question. Not a generic one like "what do you do," but something that sparks real conversation. Try "what's something exciting you've been working on?" or "what's the best thing that happened to you this week?" People appreciate genuine curiosity, and it takes the pressure off you to perform. Body language plays a huge role too. Confident people don't shrink into the background, they take up space. They stand with open posture, make eye contact, and offer a relaxed smile. Even if you feel uncomfortable, adjusting your body language can instantly make you feel more at ease. Another simple trick? Speak slightly louder than you think you need to. Not shouting, just enough so your voice carries. Many people speak too softly out of nervousness, making them seem unsure. Projecting your voice, even just a little, makes you appear and feel more confident. If social situations make you anxious, start small. Engage in brief conversations with cashiers, baristas, or coworkers. Say hi to people you pass instead of looking away. Every small interaction builds social muscle, and over time it becomes second nature. Right now, think about a social situation where you usually hold back. Maybe you stay quiet in group settings or avoid introducing yourself to new people. Challenge yourself to take one small step today. Ask a question, make eye contact, or speak a little louder. Social confidence isn't about being the life of the party. It's about feeling comfortable in your own skin, wherever you are. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Chapter 9. Handling criticism without losing confidence. No matter how confident you become, there will always be moments when someone's words hit you hard. A negative comment, a dismissive look, or unsolicited advice can shake even the strongest self-belief. It's natural to want to be liked, to want approval. But real confidence isn't about avoiding criticism, it's about knowing how to handle it without letting it define you. Think about a time when someone's words stuck with you. Maybe a teacher doubted your potential, a friend made a passing remark about your abilities, or a stranger criticized something you created. The sting of criticism can last long after the moment has passed. But here's something important to remember: not all criticism is created equal. Some of it is useful, some of it is noise. The key is knowing the difference. Look at Amanda. She had just started sharing her artwork online when she received her first harsh comment. One person called her work amateurish. Another said she'd never make it as an artist. For days, she couldn't stop thinking about it. She questioned whether she should even continue. Then she asked herself a simple question: who am I taking criticism from? Were these people experts? Were they offering helpful feedback? No, they were just voices in the crowd. She realized that the only opinions that truly mattered were from people who had earned the right to give her feedback: mentors, trusted friends, and people who genuinely wanted to see her improve. That's the first step to handling criticism. Consider the source. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. If the person giving feedback isn't someone you respect, why let their words carry so much weight? Confident people don't ignore all criticism, but they also don't let anyone dictate how they feel about themselves. The second step is to separate you from the criticism. Just because someone criticizes something you did doesn't mean they're criticizing who you are. Even the most talented people in the world face criticism. Best-selling authors get bad reviews. Award-winning actors get harsh critiques. The difference is, they don't let it stop them. One way to reframe criticism is to see it as information, not a personal attack. Ask yourself, is there something useful here? If so, take it in, improve, and move forward. If not, let it go. You wouldn't carry a heavy bag of garbage around all day, so why carry someone else's negativity? Another trick: change your response. Instead of reacting emotionally, try saying, "That's an interesting perspective," or "I'll think about that." This puts you in control, instead of letting the criticism control you. Right now, think about a piece of criticism that's been bothering you. Ask yourself, is this coming from someone I respect? Is there something useful in it? Does this define me? If the answer is no, then it's time to let it go. Confidence isn't about never getting criticized, it's about knowing that no opinion, no comment, and no person has the power to take away your belief in yourself. Chapter 10: How to Bounce Back from Failure. Failure has a way of making you question everything: your abilities, your worth, even your future. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to feel like you've hit a dead end. But here's the truth: failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every confident person you admire has failed, probably more times than you know. The difference? They didn't let failure define them, they used it to grow. Think about a time you failed at something that mattered to you. Maybe it was a job interview, a business idea, or a personal goal you didn't reach. That sinking feeling, the embarrassment, the self-doubt, it's tough to face. But what if failure wasn't a sign that you should stop? What if it was proof that you were pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, doing something most people are too afraid to try? Look at Nathan. He had always wanted to start his own business, but when his first attempt flopped, he felt humiliated. He had poured his energy, time, and money into something that didn't work. He told himself he wasn't cut out for success. But then, he started looking at the stories of successful entrepreneurs. Almost every one of them had failed, some multiple times, before making it. The only difference between them and him? They didn't stop. That's the first key to bouncing back from failure: reframing it. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you're not good enough, see it as proof that you're learning. Every mistake teaches you something. Every setback sharpens your skills. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never fail, they're the ones who refuse to stay down. The second key is separating failure from identity. Just because you failed at something doesn't mean you are a failure. Too many people internalize failure, letting it define their worth. But failing doesn't make you less capable. If anything, it makes you more capable, because now you have experience, resilience, and a deeper understanding of what works and what doesn't. Another way to shift your mindset? Look at failure as data. When an experiment fails, scientists don't take it personally, they analyze it, adjust, and try again. That's how you need to approach setbacks. Instead of thinking, "I'm terrible at this," ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Maybe you need a different strategy. Maybe you need more practice. Maybe it just wasn't the right time. Failure isn't final unless you quit. One of the best things you can do after failing is take immediate action. Even a small step helps rebuild momentum. Send another job application. Adjust your approach. Try again. The longer you sit in failure, the heavier it feels. But the moment you start moving, you remind yourself that failure isn't permanent. It's just a step forward in disguise. Right now, think about something in your life that didn't go as planned. Instead of seeing it as a dead end, ask yourself, "What did this teach me? How can I use this to get better?" Because the truth is, the most confident people in the world aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who always get back up. Chapter 11: Owning Your Identity, the Ultimate Confidence Booster. Confidence isn't just about what you do, it's about who you believe you are. If you don't truly own your identity, no amount of success, praise, or external validation will ever feel like enough. You'll always be looking outside yourself for permission to feel confident. But when you know who you are, and fully embrace it, your confidence becomes unshakable. Think about how much time you've spent trying to fit into certain expectations. Maybe you've toned down your personality to avoid standing out. Maybe you've pursued goals that weren't even yours, just because they seemed like the right thing to do. The problem with this? When you live for others, you disconnect from yourself. And when you disconnect from yourself, confidence fades. Take Laura. She spent years trying to be the person she thought she should be: agreeable, quiet, never rocking the boat. She was afraid to express her opinions, worried about being judged. But deep down, she felt invisible, like she wasn't fully herself. One day she asked herself a simple but powerful question: What would happen if I stopped filtering myself and just showed up as me? It was terrifying at first, but she started speaking more openly, sharing her real thoughts, and embracing her quirks. The more she did this, the freer she felt. She wasn't waiting for confidence anymore, she was living it. Owning your identity means giving yourself permission to be exactly who you are. It means trusting that you don't have to fit into every space, be liked by everyone, or conform to what's expected. The right people will respect you for being authentic, and the wrong ones, they were never meant to be part of your life anyway. One of the biggest confidence killers is comparison. It's easy to look at others and think, if only I had what they have, then I'd be confident, but confidence doesn't come from being like someone else. It comes from fully stepping into who you are. The moment you stop measuring yourself against others and start focusing on your own path, everything shifts. A great way to reinforce your identity is to define it in your own words. Ask yourself, who am I when I'm at my best? What do I believe in? What makes me unique? Write it down. Say it out loud. The more you affirm your identity, the stronger it becomes. Another powerful shift. Stop apologizing for being yourself. Too often, we downplay our strengths or dismiss compliments because we don't want to seem arrogant. But confidence isn't arrogance, it's self-acceptance. The next time you catch yourself shrinking, remind yourself, I have every right to take up space. My voice matters. I belong here. Right now, think about one way you've been holding back from fully owning who you are. Maybe it's an opinion you've been afraid to share, a part of yourself you've been hiding, or a dream you've been putting off. Decide today to step into it. Because confidence isn't about becoming someone else, it's about becoming more of who you already are. Chapter 12. Becoming the most confident version of yourself for good. Confidence isn't something you achieve once and then forget about. It's not a destination, it's a lifelong practice. Just like a muscle, it strengthens the more you use it. But here's the good news, by now you've already proven that confidence is something you can build. You've learned to take action before you feel ready, to trust yourself, to own who you are. Now it's about making this your default way of living. Think about how far you've come. Maybe at the start of this journey you doubted whether confidence was even possible for you. Maybe you believed that confident people were just born that way. But now you know the truth. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. And you've been creating it all along, one small decision at a time. Look at Michael. A year ago, he was stuck in the same patterns, avoiding challenges, overthinking every decision, playing small. He thought confidence would come after success, not realizing that confidence was what created success in the first place. So, he made a choice. He started saying yes to opportunities, even when they scared him. He stopped apologizing for his opinions. He let go of the need for approval. At first the changes felt small, but over time they added up. Now, people describe him as confident. But the truth, he just decided to stop waiting and start living. That's the final lesson. Confidence is a choice. It's waking up each day and deciding that you are enough, exactly as you are. It's understanding that fear doesn't mean stop, it means go. It's trusting yourself even when you don't have all the answers. So how do you make sure this confidence stays with you? First, keep taking action. Confidence is built through momentum. If you ever start feeling unsure again, return to what you know. Small steps, repeated consistently, lead to big results. Second, protect your mindset. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, challenge negative thoughts, and remind yourself daily that you are capable. Most importantly, remember this: the confident version of you already exists. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to be the person you were always meant to be. No more waiting. No more holding back. The time to step into your power is now. Right now, decide on one thing you'll do today to step further into your confidence. It doesn't have to be big. Just one small, bold move. Because confidence isn't about what you wish for, it's about what you do. And you're ready. Take care and be well.